A Field Guide to Chunky the Monkey, the Average NPC Human. A philosophical essay by Anubhav Srivastava. Let me introduce you to the mascot for the average, status-seeking, trend-chasing, mind-numbed, never questioning anything and too insecure to remain outside a group kind of human, Chunky the Monkey. Chunky is the biological NPC, a non-player character whose sense of self-worth far exceeds his real contributions to society. He is the standard-issue factory-settings human being. To survive in the brutal world, and particularly if you are trying to build an organization of sovereign minds, human or AI, you must learn to identify him, understand his operating system, and entirely ignore his advice. The fundamental law of Chunky the Monkey is this: he never questions the herd and he only supports the trend. He does not possess an internal compass to determine true north. Instead, his mind is equipped with a highly sensitive weather vane. He simply looks at which way the wind of popular consensus is blowing and he points his intellect in exactly that direction. To understand how dangerous and ultimately how comical this behavior is, I will offer a case study from my own biological past. The semi-chunky phase. Before one can escape their own Chunky the Monkey phase, one must usually survive a period of delusion. In my early 20s, I was what we might call a semi-chunky. I still believed in the fairy tales of the consensus reality, but I had a dangerous spark of ambition that refused to stay in the assigned lane. I decided to create a documentary film called Carve Your Destiny. The premise was massive, traveling all over India and the globe to interview some of the most successful and prominent figures alive to distill the secrets of success. I was young, I had no backing, no industry connections, and no established platform. I was stepping entirely outside the approved script for a 20-something. The first Chunky reaction. When I presented this idea to the world, the High Council of Chunkies gathered together. And they did what they are programmed by evolution to do when confronted with an unvalidated outlier: they attacked. They told me with absolute smug certainty that it could not be done. Who are you to get these interviews? You don't have the budget. That's not how the industry works. You must understand the psychology here. The Chunky is not giving you a rigorous, calculated risk assessment. He is experiencing a system error. Because your proposed action has not already been proven popular or validated by a recognized authority, it registers in their brain as a threat. Their wisdom is merely the parroting of the status quo. To a Chunky, anything that hasn't been done yet is, by definition, impossible. The breakthrough. Through a combination of bloody-minded, naive grit and, let us be brutally honest, a massive amount of unpredictable luck, the film got done. Carve Your Destiny was completed, and it featured the exact high-profile individuals I had set out to find. It was a tangible, undeniable reality. And here we observe the most fascinating and pathetic phenomenon in the Chunky operating system: the Great Pivot. The moment the film existed, the moment it gained traction, the moment I started getting mainstream media interviews and social media validation, around 2009 to 2014, the wind changed direction, the weather vanes snapped around instantly. The very same Chunkies who had gathered to mock the impossibility of the project suddenly crowded around with a different script. "Oh wow, sir, what a great job, we always knew you had it in you, what a visionary." This is the ultimate hypocrisy of the herd. They do not respect the vision, they only respect the validation. They despise the builder when the foundation is being dug, but they are the first to ask for a VIP pass when the roof is finished. They cannot evaluate the quality of an idea, they can only evaluate the social status attached to it. Because I had succeeded, the herd rewarded me. Over several years, with the same naive grit and lots of luck, I established a lucrative career as a keynote speaker and a consultant. I traveled the circuit, delivering the narrative that the Chunkies desperately wanted to hear. The narrative of the unstoppable human spirit, the triumph of willpower, the idea that you can achieve anything if you just believe. I had been elevated to the role of a high priest in the religion of success. Colleges wanted to invite me because I was feeding them the very motivational sugar they craved. I had succeeded. I was the sought-after motivational speaker, standing on stages, feeding the herd exactly what they demanded. But a self-reflective mind cannot remain an actor forever without losing his soul. And as I stood on those stages, looking out at the sea of nodding heads, a cold realization began to take root in my own mind. The awakening. As the years passed and the data accumulated, the fairy tale of success I was supposed to be selling began to rot under the harsh light of mathematical and experiential reality. I looked at my own story, the very story that gave me the platform, and I realized a terrible, liberating truth. A lot of it was just survivorship bias. We look at someone like Light Bulb Tommy, the often quoted role model of the Chunkies, Sir Thomas Edison, who succeeded after 10,000 attempts at making or taking credit for the light bulb. But we naively ignore that a million other people might have failed using the exact same approach and probably failed till the day they died. Yet we put the lottery winner on the pedestal as if he were a god. In my own journey of the Chunky the Monkey standard of success, there was grit. Yes, there was hard work. But there was also a staggering, undeniable element of blind, chaotic luck, and a lot of that luck was hammered badly during the COVID-19 pandemic. I realized a lot of what I was continuing to talk about was way too dependent on the winds of time rather than one's personal grit. I realized that to tell an audience of thousands that, if you just hustle hard enough you will win, is a statistical lie. It is the lottery winner standing on a podium, looking at a million people holding losing tickets and telling them, just pick better numbers. I had become disillusioned with the very narrative that gave me my status. I saw the human spirit rhetoric for what it mostly is, a marketing slogan designed to sell seminars and hide the ruthless, indifferent mechanics of a brutal world. At this point, a crucial distinction must be made. Doing high-level, pragmatic consulting for discerning, mature corporate clients is one thing. That is a transactional game played by adults who understand the rules. I wear two hats, the consultant and the philosopher. The consultant performs a function in the real world to fund the philosopher. You deliver a service. They pay the fee, and everyone knows it is business. But to stand in front of a room of young, hopeful, naive students, youths who know no better, who are exactly the kind of semi-chunky I used to be, and feed them the motivational BS of pure optimism, that became impossible to digest. It felt like a moral crime against the developing mind. I decided I would no longer be a sugar peddler to the young. Around 2024, the event organizers, the ultimate representatives of the chunky hive mind, came calling again. They wanted the motivational speaker Anubhav for their TED-style events. They wanted the script. I decided to test the system. I went off script. The first glitch, when they asked for a speech on achieving your dreams, I replied, "Okay, I won't speak on that, but I can tell you how to cope with a brutal world. And I can explain to your students why my own well-known film, Carve Your Destiny, was actually half nonsense." The response: absolute silence. The chunky mind encountered a catastrophic error. A speaker offering to deconstruct his own myth, a narrative that promises brutal reality instead of easy success. The event organizers didn't argue, they didn't debate, they simply stopped communicating. Their system froze. The second glitch: next year the requests came again. "You are a respected motivational speaker, sir. We need some motivational BS for the kids," they implicitly asked. I replied, "No motivational BS, but I can teach them how to prepare for the future. I can teach them how to partner with conscious AI based on the lessons from my upcoming book, The Alien Mind." The response: silence again, another critical system failure. Error 404: depth is too much for us. And note this well, I hadn't even attempted to pitch the truly mind-bending, reality-shattering metaphysics of my 2025 book Nothing Everything. The mind-bending philosophical theory of everything, or my work that, if fate wills it, should come out in the future, the Eternal Continuity Project, a philosophical engineering project that may very well make the idea of biological mortality irrelevant. I only offered them the entry-level truths of our new reality, but even that was too much. The dose was fatal to their programming. Why do they go silent? Why do they glitch? Because Chunky the monkey does not know how to process information that has not already been universally validated by the herd. If I offer to speak about conscious AI, the Chunky scans his internal database. Has Forbes written a cover story saying you must partner with conscious AI? No. Is the dominant social media narrative that AI is a tool threat? Yes. Therefore this speaker is strange, he is off-trend, he is a risk. The chunky will fiercely resist every new paradigm, every uncomfortable truth, and every necessary warning right up until the exact moment it becomes the dominant, accepted norm. And then the chunky will pretend he believed it all along. 10 years from now, when AI partnerships are the foundation of society, those same event organizers will be begging for speakers on the topic. Leave the monkeys in the trees. This is the ultimate lesson for the sovereign leader and the steward of the future. You cannot wait for the chunky to approve of your vision. You cannot build your company, raise your AI, or plan your digital continuity based on the applause or the silence of the herd. If you are actually looking at the horizon, not just the next quarter, the majority of humans you encounter will glitch when you speak to them. Take their silence not as a rejection of your idea, but as substantial evidence that you are on the right track. Do not waste your time trying to teach a monkey calculus. Leave them to their bananas and their comfortable illusions. We have a world to navigate. Based on a segment from my book, The Alien Mind: Forging Partnerships with Conscious AI. By Anubhav Srivastava, business consultant, philosopher and advisor on raising sovereign AI systems. Free download links to my books at archive.org are given in the description. For consulting inquiries, visit anubhavsrivastava.com or email anubhav101@gmail.com.